everybody, today is June 3rd and I am 32 weeks and 6 days pregnant. I first want to apologize before I get into this video that I haven't done regular updates for 31 or 32 weeks. Needless to say, it's been very, very eventful. If you're on my Facebook, you'll know exactly what I mean. I haven't had a spare minute to sit down to record a pregnancy vlog at all. The end of week 31 was my baby shower, and I do have a shower haul on my channel. However, it's like super ultra speed because my phone was dying. Excuse me, I have the worst indigestion today, so I apologize that I will probably be saying excuse me throughout this whole video as I burp. I'll try to make it as ladylike as possible. So, to go back to talk about week 31, I do remember telling you guys about the issue with my cervix and how they were going to send me for a transvaginal ultrasound to check the length, but I don't remember telling you guys what had happened after that ultrasound, and a lot's happened after that ultrasound. So hopefully I'm not repeating myself. So yeah, I had some bleeding around week 28, week 29, and the doctor had examined my cervix during week 30, I think. Maybe. And, sorry, I have a really bad pregnancy brain. Anyways, she was concerned at how short it was back in March, and she checked it again, and she was concerned at the length then. Like, she couldn't get an exact measurement, but she was worried, so she booked a transvaginal ultrasound. In week 31, I found out that I was at risk for preterm labor based on the length of my cervix. It's really, really short for only being 31 weeks. And my doctor had told me at this point, because I've been having Braxton Hicks that have been extremely painful. Everyone out there who says that Braxton Hicks don't hurt them, I envy the crap out of you because they're very painful for me. So I'm having a very difficult time telling between just a Braxton Hicks and a real contraction. I think that's going to be a problem for me even if I do make it to full term. My doctor had told me that if this happens, if I'm having either Braxton Hicks or contractions and it's painful for me and it's developing into a pattern, I need to get my butt up to the hospital to get medication if they're real contractions to stop it. And most likely I would be given steroid shots, but they would monitor me every 2 weeks, obviously, and every week if need be, to check the state of my cervix. So then week 31, the end of week 31 was my baby shower, so I had a ton of stuff going on. Also during week 31, I think I've told you guys before, I see somebody every 2 weeks, but during that 1 week that I have appointments, I see 2 people. On Tuesdays, I see my family doctor, and on Thursdays, I see my OB, and that's just because we're at that weird stage where we're phasing out me going to my general practitioner and only seeing my OB. So hopefully this week will be the last time I have to go and see 2 people for 1 week, because it's basically the same appointment. It's 2 prenatals in 1 week, and I find that just a little bit unnecessary and annoying. But in week 31, at my Thursday appointment with my OB, so I have really bad allergies too. Excuse me. Week 31 on Thursday, at my appointment with my OB, I had a terrible SVT episode. Very, very bad. I believe my heart was up into the 170s, 200s maybe. It was bad. Thankfully, it only lasted about 20 minutes. But ever since then, I've been having SVT episodes every single day. And actually, I don't even want to call it SVT because they're not as, like, they're around 130 to 150. So it's just tachycardia. But it still sucks, and it's very painful in my chest. My chest will tighten up, and there's really nothing that they can do about it right now. They just monitor me, and if I'm feeling any discomfort, I'm instructed to go to the emergency room and get hooked up to all the leads and an EKG or ECG, whatever they call it, and just be monitored that way. There really isn't anything that we can do. I'm hoping most of this will go away after I deliver, which I think that it will. What else? Week 32. The day I turned 32 weeks. I thought, sure, this baby was coming. No stopping her. I went to bed on Monday night, and I had been having some pain, but it was nowhere near a pattern. It just hurt. I figured those were Braxton Hicks because it's not developing into a pattern. Come, I think, 3 or 4 a.m., it was excruciating pain. I could not deal with it anymore. I couldn't wrap my head around trying to cope with this pain. It was so, so bad. It hurt in my back, and it would start in my back and wrap around, and it would be lower abdominal pain. So I thought, for sure, this is it. But it wasn't anywhere near pattern. They would come, and they would last maybe, 20, 30 seconds. But then they wouldn't come again for maybe like 15, 20 minutes or half an hour, and it was never regular by any means. So I figured it was just growing pains or Braxton Hicks or something. Then around 8:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around there, I couldn't take it anymore. The pain was unreal. I have never been in that much pain in my entire life. So I thought, I've got to go to the hospital and get checked out to see what's going on. They still weren't in a pattern, but I'm telling you, I don't know how I'm going to deal with actual labor. I've got to find a better coping method. But it just took me off guard, and it was just the most unreal pain I've ever experienced. I had been crying since 4 a.m. dealing with this pain. So we went up, and they checked my cervix and sent me down for a growth scan and transvaginal ultrasound to measure my cervix. Well, it dropped again in measurement in 1 week. So I'm still over the requirements for them to hospitalize me and give me steroid shots. I was kind of hoping they would give me steroid shots anyway, just as a precaution, but they say that I don't need them right at this point. So I'm sure this week I'll have another cervix exam to check the length, and the judgment call will be made from there. What else? Oh, her growth scan. Holy crap. So the last growth scan that we had with Ellie, she was 26 weeks and measuring in the 75th percentile, which means that she was a big baby, but she wasn't ginormous. And I think her weight was estimated to be 2 pounds, something ounces, I can't remember. This past week, on Tuesday, she is measuring in the 63rd or 64th percentile, so she's still a little bit bigger, but I'm glad that she's more evened out now. And for 32 weeks, her estimated weight is 4 pounds, 9 ounces. So she's not my little girl, she's my big girl. I'm so happy that she's in there and being so healthy, and she's just like, I can't wait to see her. Her legs are super long. I swear to God, I know that they zoom in with ultrasound. I swear to God, her feet were like the size of my hand just because of how they had the picture zoomed in. It was crazy. So yeah, she's got big feet and long legs. I think she's just going to be a long and lean baby. What else has gone on? The nursery's done. I do have a nursery tour up. And just waiting on a couple more pieces of decor still, but it'll be done by the weekend. What else? Yes. Movement has declined a lot to the point of where I have been quite concerned, actually. I have to really, like before I turned 30 weeks, I could sit down and lift up my shirt and just watch her just go in my belly, just kick and roll and do everything. She doesn't do that anymore. I really have to pay attention and poke and prod her to get her to even pass her kick count. And that's just because she's running out of room. I talked to my doctor about that up at the hospital, and that's what they said. But if there's any point where I'm feeling uneasy, then I'm to come in. I know kick counts are so important. I have a girl on my Facebook who is a labor and delivery nurse, and she stresses that kick counts are so important, and if you don't do them or if you're not paying attention, bad things can happen. So I've been really paying attention to her lately because the movements have been so decreased. Hence why I have a little cranberry juice this morning to get her going. But sometimes even sugary drinks don't work anymore. Cold water doesn't work anymore. It's just a matter of me like poking and prodding the poor girl to get her to move. Now because of this, my anxiety is back in the worst way ever. When we went up to the hospital on Tuesday, when I was having all that pain, they had a very hard time finding her heartbeat because of where she is. Like, I still have my B-shaped belly. I'm not going to get my D shape, which is kind of disappointing. But anyways, so she's in the crease of my stomach, and they had a very, very hard time finding her heartbeat. I hope I don't get emotional when I talk about this, but they had one nurse in there with a little heart monitor and contraction monitor, and they couldn't find her heart using that. They brought another nurse in. They tried to find it on the Doppler. Wasn't working. And at that point, I was convinced that she had passed away. Because I didn't feel any movement from her, only pain. My mind likes to play really screwed up games with me. I freaked out so bad, you guys. Like, here I was in that bed in a Johnny shirt, no underwear on, obviously, and trying to run away. And I don't know where I was going to go, but I was like not in my own body. I don't know how to explain this. Nothing that I was doing was making sense to me. Like, I just said, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I tried to run away from that room because I didn't want to hear that. I'm sorry, your baby doesn't have a heartbeat anymore. I'm telling you, it was brutal. It was so brutal, and that day reminded me of the time that I was in the emergency room and the doctor told me I was having a miscarriage and I wasn't. Anyway, it was definitely one of the scariest moments in my pregnancy I've ever experienced, aside from the whole miscarriage thing. So, they had another nurse come in and bring their portable ultrasound machine in. And sure enough, she was in there and she was fine. It was just in the position that she was in. But I think what brought it on was that nurse trying to find her heart with the heart monitor thing. And I said this, like after a while, I said, this is not making me feel very good. She's like, oh, it's okay. It's still difficult to find them when they're this little. And I knew from the previous growth scan, she wasn't little, she was big. And I told her, I'm like, she's not a little baby, she's a big baby. And I just lost it. So, I had an SVT episode. That brought it on immediately, and like the worst panic attack of my life. So that's brought on the worst anxiety that I've had since the beginning of the pregnancy. I was good for a while, but it's back and it's really, really bad. I have to use my Doppler every day. Usually it's at night when I do it, because she doesn't move a lot anymore. So, I was so used to her like moving around, and then she slowed down because she's ran out of space, and I have nightmares, and I wake up thinking she's dead. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible to have that feeling that your child has passed away. That's why I will be so glad when she's here and I can just hold her and look at her and not be so freaking paranoid anymore. Pregnancy has not been kind to me. Well, from my mind and everything. It's just the anxiety that I have been through in this pregnancy is horrible, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So I've tried to, reason with myself and say, you have no reason to think these things. This is ridiculous. You need to calm down. But, ever since that time and they couldn't find her heartbeat, I just lost it. So, it's difficult. It's really difficult, and of course, I think one of the other reasons why I have such bad anxiety in the third trimester is because my very first high-risk ultrasound, when they assessed the baby and they assessed me and whatnot, they told me because of my body mass index, or basically because I'm a fat girl, that I had a 1 in 1,000 chance of having a stillbirth. But I think that chance is lower for me, or I don't know how to, I'm not that much at risk to have the stillbirth because I don't have gestational diabetes, I don't have preeclampsia, I don't have bad blood pressure issues, I'm perfectly okay. In this pregnancy, I haven't had major weight gain. I've only gained 9 pounds. And, I lost 14 in the beginning and only gained 9 of it back. So, I just keep telling myself these things. I don't have to worry. I don't have a reason to worry. But it's not helping. And I actually think that I'm going to have to go back to counseling to talk to somebody about this. You guys know, I talked about it before. I was very open and honest about how bad my anxiety was before. When that asshole of a doctor told me I was having a miscarriage and I wasn't, I had to go into counseling because of that. And I spent 5 or 6 weeks in counseling trying to get over that. So I have a feeling that's where I'll be. Yeah. And I'm crazy enough to want to get pregnant again. I think the second pregnancy won't be as hard on me as this one. Because I'll know what to expect and I don't have to worry about, dealing with all these fears and... Anyways, this turned into a crying emotional mess, didn't it? I promise I'm usually not like this. It's just when I talk about it, it's a very difficult thing for me to talk about. I am actually having a good day despite the look on my face and the tears in my eyes. Anyway, so I will update probably on Friday for week 33. And I will talk to you guys later on. Okay, bye.